Mike, we talked to you about the details of your textbook, Machining and CNC Technology, but we understand that it took you 10 years from concept to completion to get this book on the market. Can you discuss with us some of the challenges that you met?
Yeah, I don't think anybody that's ever written a book has the slightest idea how. It seems like if you just know what you're doing and you can write that it's a simple process, but it's a big, long process. The 10 years was 10 years of hard labor. I've written previous books, and like this old book on CNC, you might have seen that book on the market for a long time. That took me less than a year to write, and I've written other books that took me less than a year to write. This one took over 75 people working on it, and it took 10 years of getting it right. And part of the reason was that nobody understands how much work you put into it, editing and reworking and making sure that the photographs have the right background. I asked an editor one time approximately how many books you think finish that start, and he said without data, he said he thought it would be less than 20%. So out of 10 books, 8 books wouldn't finish because it was so much work. So another reason that was a challenge to write a book like this is it's about a technology that's changing. So it's a technology race. You get a chapter done, and the next thing you know, they've got a new cutter out, or they've got a new CNC machine that can run faster, and you have to rethink what you do and try to catch up with the technology. Another challenge was making sure that this wasn't a book that just represented what I know. I've got a lot of information in my head from a lot of journeymen, and they challenged me to pass it on. But I wanted to make sure that it represented all the regions of North America, and so we had focus groups throughout the United States working on this thing. It was a tough question when we asked, should we write another machining textbook? Because there were 5 books on the market at the time. We had to make sure that there was a real need for it. So McGraw-Hill invested a lot of money before we ever put one word on a page. So one of the other things is that I wanted to make sure that it served everyone in the trade. So those were some of the big challenges.
Well, that sounds like a lot of work indeed, but what kept you going?
Well, I bet anybody watching this film would think that it's profit, because you make a royalty check off of a textbook like this. But if that was all it was, believe me, I would have not been able to stick it out. And I bet that's what happens to a lot of others. They don't realize how much work it is. But the main reason that I kept going on this book had to do with my father. My father was a meat cutter near Seattle, Washington, and he was considered a journeyman meat cutter. In fact, he was well known for cutting game meat, and people would come from all over, counties away, 2-3 counties away, even outside the state. They have their game meat cut by my dad because he was so good at it. He asked me if I wanted to be a meat cutter, and he would turn the business over to me, but I had other ideas. I wanted to be a machinist and a tool and die maker. And so Dad retired, then Dad died. And all that knowledge that was in my dad's head was just gone. And when I started my job at Kenworth, one of the journeymen came up to me and he said, it's actually written up in the front of the book, he poked me in the chest and he said, we're going to teach you everything we know, but it's not yours to own. You need to pass it on to the next generation. And that's what kept me really going. The other thing, and it may be even more important, is that our focus groups and studies, and I already suspected it because I had started the process, there had been a paradigm shift in the trade, and the textbooks of the day were great, but they didn't really serve what was going on in the schools. Were teaching CNC as an advanced subject, and in the factories they were using CNC every day as a beginner's subject, and there had been a paradigm shift, and none of the textbooks represented that. We had to convince the publishers that yes, there was a need for a new machining textbook.
Well, the hard work is over now. What's next? What are your rewards for all this hard work?
Well, the first thing I would say is the hard work is not over. We just, as you can see, we just came up with the updated version that has Mastercam X4 in the back, and we're already talking about a release 2 years from now with the second edition. And with technology, you never lay your hammer down. You keep working and working to keep it up to date. So first of all, the hard work is not over, but some of the rewards, some of the rewards are, and I mean this sincerely. I every day when I turn out the lights in my lab and go home, I know that I've taught the men and women in my room, but I also know that I've touched the craft of people all over North America, and we're talking Canada, we're talking. The book is being marketed now in Africa. The book is being marketed in its English version. It's being marketed in Europe, and there's other discussions on languages that they might want to turn it into. And just recently, this showed up on my doorstep. This is the CNC chapters, the How to Do It chapters on CNC in Japanese, which for a while I thought that was really great. They didn't tell me they were going to do that. The Japanese division of McGraw-Hill did it on their own. But it struck me that, wait a minute, who knows most about manufacturing in the whole world? And it's the Japanese. I mean, they've got it down to a science, and yet they're using my textbook in Japanese. And talk about a reward. I can say for sure to anybody that walks up to me, I'm a journeyman, and you know, I feel like my journey has been not only to machine, but to pass on everything that I know that was given to me by all those journeymen. I'm not going. My journey isn't going to end when I do, like my father's.